Good morning and welcome to the 12th meeting of the Local Government and Communities Committee. I ask you to please ensure all your mobile phones are on silent, and just a reminder that broadcasting will operate your camera and microphone as usual. Please allow a short pause before being called on to speak to allow them to do so. Today we've received apologies from Andy Whiteman. In agenda item 1, we have consideration of whether to take agenda items 5 and 6 in private. Item 5 is consideration of the draft annual report for the parliamentary year from 12th of May 2020 to 24th of March 2021. Item 6 is consideration of a draft legacy paper. As we are meeting remotely, rather than asking whether everyone agrees, I will instead ask if anyone objects. If there is silence, I will assume you're content. Does anyone object? Thank you. And silence it is, and that is agreed. Items 5 and 6 will be taken in private. Agenda item 2 is the consideration of negative instruments 99, 100 and 142 as listed on the agenda. I refer members to paper number 1 and the recently issued addendum which contains further detail. The instruments are laid under the negative procedure, which means that their provisions will come into force unless the Parliament agrees to a motion to annul them. No motions to annul have been laid. The Delegated Instrument 99, Delegated Powers and Law Reform Committee considered the instrument on 9th of March 2021 and determined that it did not need to draw the attention of the Parliament to the instrument on any grounds within its remit. Instruments 100 and 142, the Delegated Powers and Law Reform Committee considered Instrument 100 on 9th of March 2021 and agreed to draw this instrument to the attention of the Parliament under the general reporting grounds in respect of drafting errors. The Scottish Government committed to bring forward an amending instrument to correct the errors before the instrument comes into force on 30th of March 2021. The amending instrument 142, which was laid on Monday, aims to correct these drafting errors. However, this instrument will breach the 28-day laying requirement because these regulations will come into force on the 29th of March 2021, which is 1 day before the first set of regulations come into force on the 30th of March 2021. Consideration of Instrument 142 is subject to any recommendation of the Delegated Powers and Law Reform Committee. Does anyone have any comments on these instruments? Sarah Boyack.
Thank you, Convener. Yeah, my only comment is about the fact that it's obviously, as I understand it, being extended until next year. And I think it's something that the Scottish Government should regularly monitor if there is any opportunity for the one on the pre-application notification process to be reinstated earlier. I understand totally we've got the pandemic and the responses from communities and business organisations is very good to read, but that would be my only concern about how long the pre-application requirements are going to be changed. Thank you, Convener.
Okay, thank you. Obviously your comments are on the record now, Sarah. Thank you very much. Therefore, no other comments. I invite the committee to agree that it does not wish to make any recommendations in relation to Instrument 99. Does anyone object? Okay, thank you. That is agreed. Subject to any recommendation by the Delegated Powers and Law Reform Committee, I invite the committee to agree that it does not wish to make any recommendations in relation to Instruments 100 and 142. Does anyone object? Thank you. That is agreed. Agenda item 3 is a consideration of 2 current petitions. Petition 1743 from John Foster on behalf of Govan Community Council calls on the Scottish Parliament to urge the Scottish Government to amend the Rent Scotland Act 1984 to prevent disproportionate rent increases being set for Scottish secure tenants. We last considered this petition on the 18th of November 2020 and agreed to write to the Scottish Government indicating agreement with the tenant this matter should be addressed as a matter of fairness by legislative amendment if necessary. I invite comments from members to consider next steps in light of the responses received as set out in paragraph 12. Any comments? Okay. In that case, we may wish to consider our actions and understanding orders, the options are referring the petition to the Scottish Ministers, another committee or any person or body for them to take such action as they consider appropriate, reporting to the Parliament Bureau or to the Parliament, taking any other action which we consider appropriate, or closing the petition. Do we have any suggestions on what the committee would prefer to do? Oh, I thought you. Yes, Sarah. Thank you.
First of all, declare my. Sorry?
No, it's fine.
Yep. Thanks, Convener. It was first of all just to draw members' attention to my declaration of interest in relation to my former employment with SFHA. I think it would be useful for this issue to be addressed in the next Parliament because I don't think it's been completely addressed. And I noticed in the papers we got this week from the Scottish Government, they are looking at issues in relation to rents, and I think this issue needs to be on that agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Sarah's considering suggesting that we draw attention to the future local government committee, Sarah? Do it through that way?
Whichever committee is responsible for the topic, yes.
Yeah. Keith?
Just a second, I think that's the default position anyway, isn't it? That if we don't propose any further course of action, the petition's not closed, so it carries forward to the next session. I think the Minister's said that he doesn't intend to change the legislation in relation to this, but the government will be keeping it under review. So I'll just let it go forward to the next meeting by the next session by default.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Gordon.
It was just to agree with the position. I think there's going to be a new housing bill, and it would be something that should be looked at as part of the new housing bill that's been proposed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so our actions are quite clear then. We just let it go, and it will be dealt with by whichever committee is responsible for it. Thank you very much. Petition 1778 from David Findleton calls on the Scottish Parliament to urge the Scottish Government to review the effectiveness of the Scottish Landlords Register scheme. We last considered this petition on 18th November 2020 and agreed to write to the Scottish Government, COSLA and the Scottish Association of Landlords to seek views on issues raised in this petition. I invite comments from members to consider next steps in light of the responses received to set out in paragraphs 24 to 29. Any comments? In that case, then, I suggest that we do the same with this petition as we did with the last one. Take no action and let it run forward onto the next session for whichever committee is dealing with it. Okay, well, that concludes the public part of this meeting, and we will resume the meeting in private on Microsoft Teams. But before we move into private, as this may be our final public meeting, I'd like to put on record our thanks for all those who have contributed to the work of the committee over the last 5 years, from all the stakeholders who gave evidence, to all those behind the scenes here at Parliament, vice researchers, official report, broadcasting engagement and security, and then to everyone else who's helped us along the way, particularly I would say the clerks. We've had great support from the clerks over the last few years, and without this we just wouldn't be able to do our job. I would also like to thank all my fellow committee members, past and present, for their dedication and hard work to the committee, and wish all those who are not returning next session all the very best in their lives beyond the Scottish Parliament. And a big thanks to those that have been here for quite some time, few newcomers on this Parliament, but everybody on this committee. But everybody's played a really important role, and I want to thank you all for all your support. I think one of the good things about this committee is any differences have been dealt with in a really positive way, and we've always tried to make sure that we get the best result for the people who are in front of us or the issue we've been dealing with. So we'll now move into private session, and please accept the clerk's meeting request for the private discussion, which will be sent shortly, for a 5-minute break. You can exit the meeting in the usual fashion by clicking on the red telephone icon. See you soon.